You had discipline in school. You didn't misbehave very often.
No.
But my mother always told me, if you ever get punished at school, you'll get punished again when you get home.
Yeah.
There was no question. But if the teacher said you were bad, you were bad.
Yeah.
I remember one time, what did happen? I don't remember what happened. Something about a belt. Somebody grabbed it. There was some us girls. Somebody grabbed a belt off or something. Something about a belt. I know I had to take my seat for the rest of the recess with whoever was involved, and we all had to. And I was scared to death. My mother was going to give me everything when I got home. Boy, was I scared. I don't remember if I told her about it. I wasn't. I mean, I was not the one who was in the wrong, but they punished everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, all the ones that were involved. I hadn't really done anything. I don't remember. I didn't do that, did I? I don't remember. I told my mother-in-law, I probably did, because I don't think I would have dared not to. My mother was very strict. Very strict. Especially with manners and table manners. You didn't leave the table until you asked to be excused.
Yeah.
And you didn't hide your breakfast underneath the plate like I used to. Because if you did, you had to eat it before you were excused. My mother used to tell me they'd make my hair curly because I wanted curly hair so bad. But it never did.
No. No.
And well, we said please and thank you. We didn't start eating till everybody was served. She was very strict on that.
Get me a Sprite, Ashley. Want some water?
Hmm?
Would you like some water?
Yeah, I'm getting hoarse. I'll get hoarse and all that.
Yeah.
Did your mother teach you to crochet and that kind of thing? You know, back in the old days.
Grammy taught me to
There was a lot of
crochet.
that.
Grammy taught me to crochet. I was crocheting edgings on handkerchiefs when I was 19 years old. And she taught me to hand
But she had a men's sock still.
Oh, I learned how to dance.
How old were you when you were learning all that?
Yeah, Grammy taught me all of that sewing. And, well, Grammy taught me more because Mother died when, thank you dear, when I was so young, I wasn't into sewing too much. And Grammy taught me to embroider. See, my grandparents, I remember they living with us before I went to school. And then they had a falling out with my father. They went to live in Springfield, Mass. With my grandfather's brother. My grandfather worked for the railroad. And they lived there for maybe 3 years. But not long after Grandpa and Grammy left over on the farm there, East Randolph, my grandfather died. And my father went to farming with my grandfather with the idea that he was going to have a farm. When Grandpa died, he would have to pay his sisters for their share. Well, that's what happened, but one sister was willing to wait, until my father paid off as he could, but the other sister wanted her money off, so it was sold, and my father never got the farm. And,
But he got his share.
yeah, he had his share. And, we went to live down on the road between Bethel and Randolph. It was my Aunt Carrie's house. For some reason she wasn't living there. And we went to live there. We lived there for 2 years. Not really. 2 4 years. I guess we moved there in April. And Lois was born in June. Lois was a year old in June, and we moved up on the farm in November. So we didn't really live there about a year and a half yet.
What house was that? Right on the main drag?
Oh, I told you kids lots of times that that's where I used to live, was Aunt Carrie's house. It's between Randolph and Bethel on the main
A brick house?
Anyway, I remember the first day I went to school there. I was just barely 6 years old. And it must have been a mile and a half to the schoolhouse. I knew where it was because my mother had a friend who had a daughter, and we used to go there to visit. So I knew where it was. But I was 6 years old, and she sent me to school walking alone
The first day.
the first day of school. Of course, she had all those babies. She couldn't go.
Right.
I had to go to work.
How far was it?
I said about a mile and a half, I think. And I remember how scared I was. And I got to school, and the schoolhouse was open, but nobody was there.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't know whether to go in or what to do. But then someone came pretty soon, and I was early. Oh, it didn't take me so long to walk it as my mother thought it would. And I remember how scared I was.
She probably thought you would dawdle and you were so scared you just went straight there.
I hurried right along, probably. But I expected an awful lot of Glenda, but you know, when I look back and see what my mother expected of me, I can see, I guess probably people did in those
You
days.
didn't think anything?
They gave children, especially older children in a big family, a lot of responsibility.
Yep.
I remember being left with the younger ones when I was 7 or 8.
Yep.
She'd have to.
They call that child abuse today.
Oh,
or
yeah.
child neglect.
Yeah,
or
they
something.
take your kids away.
Yeah. And still, I tell myself I put too much on Glenda, and I did, but I didn't leave her alone with the kids when she was young, because her father was always there. He was sleeping, but he was there.
Yeah.
So, people did. Poor mother. About that old house, that farm up on the hill, and there was no running water in the house or anything. An old lady had lived there for a long time. You know, she was real old, and she kept turkeys. And she let it, and they were in the house. They was roost on the door.
Oh
And
no.
imagine how clean it must have been.
I can't.
And she and a couple of her friends, my father had a broken wrist when they bought that place. She and a couple of her friends cleaned that house and papered and painted it before they moved into it.
Wow.
And we moved in November.
And she was probably pregnant at the time then.
No, she wasn't.
No, in between.
And she had a year-old baby.
Yeah.
Year and a half. We moved in November. And I can remember, of course, we moved with a horse and wagon, you know. And it was late when we got up there. I don't remember if there was a fire in the house when we got there or not. I remember it was cold, and of course she was tired, and the beds weren't set up, and there wasn't any meal ready or anything. I can remember how hot she was, no wonder she had spots. And all that winter, she and my father cut down a couple trees that were in the yard and cut them up to burn wood to keep warm. Dad couldn't work. And
She didn't have an easy life, did she?
she sure didn't. And not only that, but she lugged water from across the road. He'd set up a pipe in a brook, and it ran into a big iron kettle. She lugged water across the road all winter for 5 kids
It's a
to
lot of water.
wash and cook and bathe with.
Yep.
Wood fires. She probably, I don't remember, but she probably split the wood because Dad couldn't split it with a broken wrist.
No.
She probably split some of it. She worked awful hard. No wonder her heart gave out. But it wouldn't.
Is that what happened when she had that baby?
Well, she had eclampsia, and she went into convulsions, and her heart gave out.
Eclampsia is a scary thing. Blood pressure goes skyrocketing high. They told me when I had Ashley that my blood pressure was stroke level. Before they got it down.
That's what happened to Harriet, Dakota's daughter.
Can you imagine? I never told you that?
No.
Yeah.
You never told me nothing.
That's what
Never
happened to
told me nothing.
Harriet. Harriet, Dakota's daughter. She was 20. She was in her mid-20s. It's her first baby. And she had pregnancy. And her blood pressure went. I guess she did have a stroke when she died.
In her 20s.
And Harriet hasn't seen her grandson now for 3 years. I feel bad for her.
Yep.
He lives in Connecticut. I think that's fucking. Yeah, those things happened a lot more in my mother's day, and not actually in
How old was she?
my mother. She was 40.
Was she that old? She
Should have been 41 that year. She would have been 41 that year.
40 and having a baby. Oh,
My father was 38. After those 5 kids, he must have thought, what in the hell am I going to do?
but if you were only 12, then really she had kids kind of late for her
She didn't.
for her
She was
age.
28 when I was born.
For her generation, that was late in life.
She was a nurse, right? She
Yeah,
was-
she was
she
a
nurse?
trained
So she
nurse.
kind of had a career, which not too
Registered
many
nurse.
women did really back in those days.
That's true.
Yeah, that's how she met my father. She took care of his mother when she died, when in her last illness. Which, from what I remember, what I heard, I used to hear her talking in Elizabeth people. I used to remember all of it. I think she probably had Alzheimer's, my father's mother. She was only 57 when she died.
So that's probably where Aunt Betty.
Hmm?
So that's probably where Aunt Betty came into it.
Could be. It's used to hear mother. I've heard mother telling about how she used to run away and get up in the middle of the night and start a fire and things like that. And I think that's probably what she had.
Yep.
And Aunt Betty was 57 when she started having Alzheimer's.
Betty is the second oldest.
She was younger than my brother. She was the middle child.
Oh, middle child.
She was the middle child. Should have been a boy. I say that. She was an awful tomboy, and she and my brother were very close. She was an awful tomboy. Rather, as she would say, rather shovel shit than do housework.
Yeah.
But actually, she had a lot of it. She was a beautiful seamstress. She could make anything. She could cut your hair and give you a perm and think you stepped right out of the beauty parlor.
Yeah.
She was talented in lots of ways. She knit, crocheted. She upholstered her furniture. She was a rotten housekeeper.
Oh, God, she was. I remember that.
Terrible. She didn't take very good care of her kids.
Well, she loved them and took good enough care of them, I guess, but she didn't give them very clean.
No, well, I guess she was good to them.
Yeah.
She was good to them, but she didn't keep them very clean.
She kept them well fed and everything. Cleanliness was not high on her list.
It used to make me so mad because I tried to be so careful with mine. It seems though they were sick all the time. And hers, went around with runny noses, dirty diapers, and
Went swimming in March and
yeah,
whatever they wanted to do.
and they were never sick.
It's because of those raw onions they used to run around eating like an apple.
Well, I think, they build up immunity. Where mine, I was so careful of them, they didn't build up the immunity.
Yeah. So how did you meet Grandpa?
Went to school with him.
Went to school with him.
Had a crush on his younger brother first.
Glenn?
We started going together when this is an awful thing to tell, actually.
It was a different era.
I was 11 and he was 16.
Oh my God.
Oh my lord.
He was.
Yeah, you and Dad are 13 years difference. Don't even start.
He was.
It didn't work, did it?
Yeah, but she wasn't 11 when she started dating him.
He was behind in school. Wasn't like a regular date. He had an older brother. As I told you, I run with the older crowd. Cleo was over, and Cleo had a car. He was 3 years older than father, I think. And he was going to my girlfriend, who was 3 years older than I was, almost 3 years older. And my best girlfriend. And how I started going with them, they were going to an air show. And so they all came up to, I can remember this whole thing. They came up to the house in this car. It had a little blue runabout roadster, I guess you'd call it. Didn't really have a rumble seat, but it had a thing in the back that you could take out, and they used to put a seat in it.
Yeah.
And that's where you and I rode. And they came up, I remember they're coming up and see if I could go with them to the air show. I think it was in White River. And this was the summer after I was 11. Because you see, Eleanor was 14. And
She's 14.
so, she was starting to date. And so she was going to go with Cleo, and Hugh was going, so they wanted me to go for Hugh's date, if that's what you want to call it. They wanted me to
make
go
a
with
foursome.
it. It was just a group, really. It wasn't really a date. And I can remember. I asked Mother if I could go. I thought I should have to go see what your father says. So I went the next day. Well, gosh, I don't know. It's up to your mother. I went back and forth between them. Finally, they decided I could go. And actually, I didn't. I don't remember if I went to the movies with Hugh that summer or not. I know we were, interested in each other. Of course, I was being the oldest of a large family, and being so far ahead of my age group in school, I was really very mature for my age.
Right.
And
Were you developing at that age?
oh yeah,
I was going to say, why would Hugh have any interest in a scrawny little
I started having my periods when I was 10 years old.
Oh, goodness.
like Marilyn, she was
And-
19.
Yeah, but not unlike Marilyn. I had the equipment that went with it too.
She may watch this tape someday, you know.
She knows that. And I was developing.
You shouldn't
Fast.
have been 11 years old.
I was. In fact, I was wearing 34 bras when I was 12.
I was wearing a 32 when I was married and had 4 kids. Like
Double A. Like, why bother?
she used to laugh at him. She helped me fold my clothes. Well, what's this?
It was an entirely different era. Kids went together early. As I say, you matured faster because most people had big
You had
families.
to grow up fast.
Yeah, my husband was out in the barn milking the cows when he was 9 years old.
Yeah.
At 5 o'clock in the morning. Or he went to school.
Well, Grandpa was such a quiet man. I can't imagine him.
Daddy was never a little boy.
No, he's always an
He
old
never
man.
played and had fun. I don't think. Of course, his mother died when he was, what, just 4 or 5 years old?
11, I think.
Huh?
He was 11
Dad?
when his mother died.
I always thought he was 4.
No.
I don't think he was that old.
He was 11 when his mother died.
What did his mother die of?
She lost a baby and was all ready to go home and threw a blood clot.
I thought she died from the poisoning of carrying a dead baby.
No, not from, well, maybe that's what caused the blood clot, I don't know. That she carried the baby, it died, and she carried it for a while, and she had it, and she had a blood clot. She was all ready to go home, and she had a blood clot and died instantly from it.
Yep.
Then my mother died in childbirth, and I can tell you, I was pretty scared when I had my first baby.
I bet you were.
Did you know Daddy at the time his mother died?
But he,
No, he
he
was-
knew you when your mother died, though.
No, it was. Too long after his mom died. It was
Your coffee pot.
12, 13.
No.
Let's see. When we moved up there, I was 7 or 8. I thought I must have been 13 when I first moved. Yeah, about 13, about 13. Then they moved away and then they came back.
They're all kind of cute little boys, aren't they?
You at one time looked exactly like your father when he was little and still had the Dutch cut bangs and the Dutch cut new head when you were little too. You used to look just like him.
I've seen a picture of him. Oh, it's maybe 11, 12.
I still got that too.
I know that in one of your stories you were writing about your wedding day.
Oh, it was quite a wedding day that was.
Yeah. Big celebration, right?
Oh, yes. Indeed, who'd been working down in Hartford on a farm for a month. He'd been living with us before he went down there. And when he was done, he didn't have any place to go. His folks had moved away and he didn't want to live with them. So he came back to live with us. So we decided to get married in. And back the day he came back from working down there, he had a car. Came back from working down there. And I met him downtown. We went to the ministers and got married. And then we drove the car to where our road met the main road, which was 2.5 miles up the hill. And we walked home in the moonlight afterwards. That was our wedding trip.
Your honeymoon, huh? So you went back to your father's house for the night.
I was still keeping house on my father and I was working too. And my brothers and sisters were all still in school.
How long did you stay there?
Not long. We were married in February and went to for a while down there to work. I don't remember if it was first of April or May. Sometime in April, I think. That Cleo was working down to this place. And then they had appendicitis, I guess, and that's how Hill was down there working in Hartford. And then when he came back and we got married and we were staying with Dad and he couldn't find a job at his during the Depression. All he could find was shoveling snow when it just snowed. And the other hired man was down there quit. And so they wanted Hugh to come back to work down there. And we were married, so I went with him. I look back and I think how thoughtless and selfish I was. Because I was leaving my brothers and sisters with everybody. Only me.
Yep.
But I was 15 when I took over the family. Betty was 15, so I guess I figured it was our turn to do it.
And your
Then
father
the
was.
kids didn't love it.
Couldn't expect you to stay there the rest of your life in the world.
I don't know what my father inspected. He didn't object to my going. But I think now, I don't know what thing that was for me to do.
There. No, it's not. You had to make your life.
Well,
They were Grandpa's responsibility, not yours.
After my mother died, it gave me almost all the responsibility my mother had.
No, but that's not really fair.
No, it wasn't.
To an 11-year-old,
But he didn't.
12-year-old
He
child.
didn't make enough money
To hire somebody.
to hire. Well, of course, we got along after a fashion when my grandmother was there. But after she left,
Yes.
he tried to hire some housekeepers. He couldn't get anything for what little he could pay. There was somebody foisted an old lady on us that needed taking care of more than she could do for us. She could cook, but that was all she could do. She wasn't well.
You had one that stole from you, seems so you said at
one.
one time.
Yeah, I quit school after Grandma left when I was 15. And then, when we had that, before Marvel Comics, we tried to get a housekeeper so I could go back and finish high school when it was fall. And we had this old lady, as I told, I don't know how sure she must have been 70. And she was a good cook, but she wasn't able to take care of her. With no conveniences, no electricity, no water, no window, bathroom, or anything. And so my father got rid of her fast. And then we advertised, I think. And we got this younger woman that had a little boy. And she came. And I went back to school, and she did pretty good. She was trying to get some work out of us girls. Remember Betty on Saturday morning? Betty didn't get up. I was 16 at that time, yeah. No, not quite 16, so Betty was 13. She didn't get up on I remember the housekeeper. I never saw such a lazy girl. She said, you ought to be out of that bed and helping around the house today. And Betty looked her right in the eye and she said, so what the hell do you think we keep you around here for? That was Aunt Betty. She said just what she wanted. But we should have been up and helping her.
Probably.
She had a lot more. It was hard work.